Welcome back with another banger. It's the React Files, where we react
to the creepiest, craziest, scariest TikToks you should watch alone.
Hope you're having a good night. If you haven't already, please take a second just to smash that like, subscribe, ring that notification bell, just to make sure the algorithm knows what's up. So let's get straight to it.
The top map shows mysterious cases of people having vanishing without a trace. The bottom map shows America's largest cave systems. So you can see a lot of these like dots here
match up.
Yeah, a lot of them are lava caves, a lot of them are limestone caves, and then here's all the people that have gone missing. A lot in the Appalachian Trails, or in the mountains. A lot in like the Pacific Northwest, so maybe it's Bigfoot.
A lot of the cave systems, if I remember, are in the Eastern Asia.
Oh, this is in the US too, by the way.
Really?
Yeah. People go into these cave systems ignorantly and with no preparation on how to actually survive in a cave, or how to even just be in the cave. Even like creepier, I should say, is what if there's something in there snatching all these people up? It's wild to think, because you go on a hike. Oh, cool, here's this really cool cave, we're gonna go explore it. I've done that here at Red Rock. Now, what if there was a creature at the end of it?
What if there was something in it, right? How would you know? Anybody here ever go down exploring in a cave? I've never been, but let me know. Are you into it? Tell me. What kind of things? Have you ever seen anything crazy?
Is the US government covering up something sinister in its national parks? Some people think so. People have suggested that missing persons reports from across the country line up strangely well with the cave systems that are found in national parks that are protected by the US government. Now, some people think that these cave systems within the national parks are being protected and preserved by the US government to keep tribes of cannibals separated from the rest of us. Some people think that it might be a civilization of reptilian-type humanoids. Or maybe it's just an advanced group of mole people. We may never know, but it is strange, this correlation that's going on with those underground cave systems and disappearances that have been unsolved, that have happened in those national parks going back over 50 years. Maybe it's because national parks are just inherently dangerous wild places and people are unprepared, they get lost and they disappear. Or maybe something else is going on. What do you think?
Yeah, it's always good to stick to the map, right? You know, I'm sure there's a lot of wanderers out there who love to explore. That's the question. Were they wanderers who wandered off the trail? Or were they on the trail? Right? It's crazy.
How is it possible to vanish into thin air while physically talking to another person? This is the strange disappearance of Brandon Swanson. On May 13th, 2008, 19-year-old Brandon attended a couple of parties to celebrate completing his very first year of college at Minnesota West Community and Technical College in Canby, Minnesota. The first party Brandon attended was in Lind, which is about 7 miles from Marshall, Minnesota, where he lived. There, he chatted with friends, had a beer or two, and decided to leave around 10:30 to 11:30 p.m. Friends at this party claimed that Brandon did not seem intoxicated and was very clear-headed. Brandon then went to a party in Canby, which is about 30 miles away from Lind and Marshall. There, he had one shot of whiskey and at around midnight decided it was time to go home. And again, his friend stated that at this party, he still did not seem intoxicated. Brandon normally took Highway 68 home. It was a straight shot and he had driven it many times. But on this night, for whatever reason, he decided to take a back road home. At around 1:15 a.m., Brandon drove his Chevrolet Lumina into a ditch and was unable to get out. 30 minutes later, he called his parents asking them to come and pick him up, giving them very specific directions of where exactly he was at and that he was near Lind. His parents, Annette and Brian, stayed on the phone with him until they got to where Brandon said he was, but they couldn't see him. They both agreed to flash their headlights as a signal, but they still couldn't see each other. This was odd, as this particular area is super flat and would be easy to see each other. At 2:17 a.m., Brandon, being frustrated that they couldn't find him, tells his parents that he sees Lind's city lights and is just going to walk there to grab a friend. He tells them that he's going to cut through fields to make the walk shorter and is actively describing what he sees, a couple of fences, that he could hear running water, and that he's walking on a gravel road. At around 3:10 a.m., 47 minutes into the phone call with his parents, Brandon yells, "Oh shit," and the call ends. His parents repeatedly try calling him back, but he never answers. They search along Highway 68, but find no trace of him. At 6:30 the next morning, they report Brandon missing to the police, in which they said it wasn't unusual for a young man Brandon's age to stay out all night, and that he, quote, had a right to be missing, end quote. Eventually, police do start looking for him and pull up his cell phone records. Through pings, they found Brandon was actually near Porter when he called his parents, not Lind like he said, which is about 25 miles away. Upon further investigation, police found Brandon's car about 1.5 miles from Taunton. It was on a gravel road, and because of that, there were no footprints indicating which way Brandon went. Extensive ground and air searches were conducted, but absolutely no trace of Brandon was found. Bloodhounds were brought in and tracked his scent down Country Road 16 onto an abandoned driveway of a farm next to Yellow Medicine River, and at one point in the river but getting back out and then leading to a drainage point. There his scent ends. The river was searched for 30 days but turned up absolutely nothing. What Brandon saw that night that made him yell "oh shit" remains a mystery. It has now been 13 years and Brandon's disappearance remains unsolved. To this day, Brandon's parents leave their light on in hopes one day he will come back home.
That's crazy. That's why you should never drink and drive. He ain't know where he was. It's like 25 miles away. He was supposed to be in a 7-mile radius. That's crazy. Ended up in the river, then a drain, and the search went cold. What do you think happened? I don't know, man. I think wildlife in the river might have got him.
Gab's potato, let's talk about it! Grand Teton National Forest. 3 people went missing this summer. 2 were found, 1 still missing, and there's more. In the Missing 411 books by David Pilates, he goes over 16 plus missing person cases in Wyoming. One of them haunts me. A 6 and a 4-year-old were camping with their parents. They were left momentarily in a meadow. When the parents looked back, the boys had vanished forever. Pilates says that every parent should understand how quickly their children can disappear under seemingly safe and beautiful surroundings. The Grand Tetons hold another secret. Over 700 indigenous women have gone missing over the past 10 years. Only 1,254 have been recorded, and the rest were forgotten. In my series, Falling Through the Cracks, I will be going over missing person cases all throughout North America.
This same type of heightened awareness should be continued for everyone. We can't let her name be taken in vain.
We're going to keep the light going and help a lot of people if we can.
From 2020 shows 2 cars blocking a truck's path on an unidentified highway. 2 men get out of their cars and approach the truck, aggressively motioning to the driver to get out of the vehicle. In Spanish, the driver can be heard repeatedly asking the men to at least let him pull over to the side of the road. As the third man gets out of one of the vehicles in the blockade, the truck driver communicates with a colleague by radio, telling him that he got cut off and is being asked to get out of his vehicle. The driver puts the truck in reverse as one of the men approaches his vehicle while talking on the phone, and this is when the trucker seizes the opportunity to escape. Just before the man in the black t-shirt reaches the driver's door, the trucker pulls away and swerves around the 2 cars. The 2 men that were blocking his path quickly get out of the way to avoid getting run over, but one of them manages to throw what we can only assume to be a rock at the truck, breaking the driver's window. Fortunately, this doesn't stop the trucker and he's able to drive away safely. It was later revealed that the 3 men were actually cartel members. The reasons for stopping the trucker are unknown, but judging from the video, it couldn't have been anything good. This dash cam and driver cam footage show a man falling asleep at the wheel of a large trailer truck. He looks out the window a couple of times before closing his eyes and apparently falling asleep as his truck races down the highway. By the time he opens his eyes again and realizes what's happening, it's too late. truck goes off the road and speeds uncontrollably toward the overpass, and at this point there doesn't seem to be anything the driver can do to stop it. The truck flies off the overpass and slams down on the ground below, severely whiplashing the driver. Luckily, there were no cars below the overpass at the time, but the impact was enough to send everything flying inside the truck, even knocking the turban off the driver's head. His co-driver was resting in the back of the truck during the incident, and although he could be heard moaning in pain after the crash, neither of the two men were badly injured and were able to walk out of the truck unharmed. After watching this footage, many people have commented that if it weren't for the driver's seatbelt, this incident would have ended much differently. It's unknown where this footage was captured, and police didn't release any more information to the public about this case, but it's very likely that the truck driver lost his job and was charged with reckless driving.
Yeah, that was crazy. My man fell asleep at the wheel. He was knocked. That impact knocked his turban off his head. Yo, I'm happy they survived, especially the one in the back, right? Because we can look back and laugh, right? Thank goodness there was no cars coming out under that overpass. That was crazy.
Is the Vatican Church actually hiding something monumental? In 2002, an intriguing claim emerged from the depths of the Vatican Church. Father Francois Brune, a French Catholic priest, authored a book revealing the existence of a mysterious device known as the chronovisor, allegedly concealed within the Vatican's archives. This device, said to utilize advanced crystal technology, purportedly had the ability to intercept and decode electromagnetic radiation from past events, granting users a glimpse into history. However, the chronovisor's existence was short-lived, as it was swiftly seized and safeguarded by the Vatican under the orders of the Pope, who deemed it too perilous for public knowledge. Despite their assertions, the church promptly dismissed their findings, branding them as a hoax and casting doubt on the authenticity of the chronovisor. If the chronovisor was merely a fabrication, why would the Vatican feel compelled to prohibit the use of such devices?
Shout outs to the subscriber who mentioned this to me. Yeah, the chronovisor. This is the first time I'm hearing about it. So yeah, I wonder what kind of device it was. Sounds perilous.
Okay guys, after I posted this last night, I really started to think. So I dug a little deeper, and what I discovered is going to blow your mind. Aside from this picture already being disturbing, I started thinking about that story that I heard back in 2020 about Elon being named as a person bringing humans to Mars. And in the 1950s, the German-turned-American scientist actually wrote a science fiction novel called The Mars Project, which takes place in the then distant 1980s and features human colonists on Mars who leader uses the title Elon. Now, what's mind-blowing is that the same scientist has ties to this alleged project, which was created by Father Pellegrino Ernetti, who was not only a scientist but an exorcist. And what's interesting is there's only a few select ordained priests who perform exorcisms. Now, if you look, Father Ernetti admitted that there were 12 scientists, including Braun, who helped him build it. Now, what I find interesting is to build the chronovisor, they used 12 scientists. And I already have my theories about the number 12. So now I'm thinking, did he really write a science fiction novel? Or did he use the chronovisor to see in the distant future at that time? I would love to hear what you guys think. Share your thoughts in the comments below. Like and follow for more.
Show me what is under the Vatican.
Vatican device lets you see the past. At least that's what is said by the accounts of Father Pellegrino Ernetti, a scientist and priest who told his story to French theologian Francois Brunet. Ernetti described a device known as the chronovisor, constructed and hidden by the Vatican and invented by a team composed of himself, along with Nobel Prize winner Enrico Fermi and Wernher von Braun, who also helped develop the NASA space program, among other scientists. This device allowed the team to witness key historical events over something like a television set and actually record them. On May 2nd, 1972, the Italian magazine La Domenica del Corriere released an image supposedly taken from a recording by Ernetti of the crucifixion of Jesus Christ. Real or hoax? You be the judge.
This footage was taken from the dashcam of Arkansas Police Corporal Randy McAdams around 3 a.m. on October 15th, 2005. Randy had been informed of some type of crash at Hobo Jungle Park and was in the process of responding to the incident. On his way to the crash site, he would notice a thick layer of what looked like fog directly in front of him. This prompted Randy to stay put. Shortly after, his dashcam would capture this.
I've got some kind of chemical smell. It's slowly drifted further south. We just had a huge explosion. We've got massive fire out here on Dudley here at the Riddle Yard. All kinds of stuff on fire. Just lost power down here on the hill. 10-4. 209, you might want to back your unit up. Get your ass out of my road. Get the hell up out of here.
Randy desperately backs away from the explosion and is able to make it out of its range. It turns out the crash he was responding to was a train crash at a nearby railroad yard. The collision resulted in the puncture of a tanker carrying propylene, a compressed flammable gas. This is the fog Randy had originally seen when responding to the incident. At that point, the gas wasn't yet on fire. It wasn't until it reached a nearby house that it was set ablaze. It's believed that the house's water heater is what was responsible. This is what then caused the extreme explosion seen in the dashcam footage. Had Randy entered the fog, he and his patrol vehicle likely would have been incinerated. But amazingly, all police officers and even rail yard employees were out of the explosion's range when it occurred. In fact, around 3,000 residents within a 1-mile radius were advised to evacuate immediately. Unfortunately though, the house that had started the explosion had a single occupant, which would be the only person killed in the incident. This tragedy brought a lot of light to the shortcomings in communication methods between the police, the fire department, and those working the rail yard tower. For example, initial observations of a vapor cloud and chemical odor were not even passed down to responding dispatchers. In response to this, the city has since modified some of their communication protocols.
Yeah, condolences go to the family of that person who didn't survive that explosion. That was crazy to see them chemical clouds on the road at night. Only way you could see them is through the headlights of the cop car. Bro, it looked like the flames kept coming down the road as he was backing up. It could have just been me.
Hey, Max. Lenny Meyer. Sorry, put it out. So, what do you do?
I work with computers, math.
Math? What kind of math?
Number theory, research mostly.
No way, I work with numbers myself. I mean, not traditional. I work with the Torah. Amazing. You know, Hebrew's all math. It's all numbers. You know that? Yeah, look. The ancient Jews used Hebrew's their numerical system, eh? Each letter's a number. Like the Hebrew A, Aleph, it's 1. B, Bet, it's 2. You understand? But look at this. The numbers are interrelated. Like take the Hebrew word for father. Av, Aleph, Bet. 1, 2 equals 3. All right? Hebrew word for mother, Aim, Aleph, Mem. 1, 40 equals 41. Sum of 3 and 41, 44. All right? Now, Hebrew word for child. All right? Mother, father, child. Yelad. That's 10, 30, and 4. 44. Torah is just a long string of numbers. Some say that it's a code sent to us from God.
That's kind of interesting.
Yeah, that's just good stuff. Check this out, okay? The word for the Garden of Eden, Kedem. Numerical translation, 144. Now the value of tree of knowledge, all right, in the garden, right? Eitz HaChaim, 233. 144, 233. Now you can take those numbers. So
you know, like the Fibonacci sequence?
Fibonacci
is an Italian mathematician in the 13th century. If you divide 144 into 233, the result approaches theta.
Theta?
Theta. The Greek symbol for golden ratio, golden spiral.
Wow. I never saw that before. That's like that series you find in nature? Like the face of a sunflower?
Wherever the spirals.
You see, there's math everywhere.
There's math everywhere. Right? Gematria, Fibonacci sequence. You can see it in nature. Like he said, like the sunflowers. Or in the other video the other day, the whales. Right? Things like that. It's crazy how they all resonate. Interesting. Let me know in the comments down below. Have you ever seen the movie Pi?
What if there was a hidden gem of knowledge that could transform your understanding of the world and empower you to master the forces of nature? Enter the Kabalyan, a mysterious and influential book published in 1908 by the enigmatic Three Initiates, which explores the principles of Hermetic philosophy. Rooted in the teachings of Hermes Trismegistus, the Kabalyan presents 7 universal principles that govern the workings of the universe, including the principles of mentalism, correspondence, vibration, polarity, rhythm, cause and effect, and gender. These principles have served as the foundation for countless spiritual practices, personal development techniques, and even modern scientific discoveries. For those bold enough to delve into the cryptic pages of the Kabalyan, a transformative journey of self-discovery and personal mastery awaits. As we navigate the complexities of our modern world, the timeless wisdom of the Kabalyan offers a guiding light, illuminating the path to a deeper understanding of ourselves and the universe in which we live.
Very interesting. I wonder who the 3 initiates were. That's really my only question. Gotta dig deeper.
You studied the Hermetics at all?
No.
Are you interested in
Yes.
Have you heard about them at all?
Sure.
This thing?
Please.
Have you heard of a book called the Kabalyan?
No.
Well, this should be right up your street. The Hermetics were Egyptians. It's where the Freemasons came from, and the alchemists and the people in the Middle Ages who preserved, the culture when the Dark Ages came. And the Hermetics comes from Hermes Trismegistus, Hermes thrice great, who was supposedly the wisest man or avatar or god from the Egyptian period. And the Kabalyan was their book. I think the Hermetics had like 7 principles. The first one is that you and I have no physical existence as entities. We exist entirely as thoughts in the mind of the All, or God.
So we know the principles of the Kabalyan, but how do we apply them in our practical life? Here are 3 ways that you can practically apply the Hermetic principles of the Kabalyan. If you're new here, hi, my name is Idian. I wrote a master's on alchemy and Hermeticism, and even though as a scholar the Kabalyan is my least favorite of the Hermetic texts, that doesn't mean that it doesn't offer any kind of wisdom. So let's go. Oh, and also I'm a cat. Now first, it's important to know that the 7 principles of the Kabalyan build on one another to delineate a fundamental truth, and that is that everything around you is a mental vibration. All things exist within the mind of the all. So everything from the seeable to the unseeable is made from the same mental material, but with each thing having its own frequency. Now, the first most practical lesson that we can learn is from the principle of polarity based on our understanding of vibration and correspondence. Jan, you said you were going to make this practical. All right, so let's say that you're afraid to do something. In that moment, you are consumed by the vibration of fear. You know that fear exists on the lowest of emotional planes, meaning that as it ascends to higher planes, it will change as an emotion. But this change happens according to the principle of correspondence. So you can't just elevate fear until it becomes an apple. You have to transform it into its corresponding higher manifestation, which would be courage. Fear can change to courage. Hate can change to love. In a more tangible way, cold can turn to heat. And this is done via your mind power and focus, which I'll get to at the end. Lesson number 2 is how to escape the principle of rhythm. The principle of rhythm is how things move on the polarity in a wave-like fashion. This stretches from the personal to the collective. Same way that your moods rise and fall, so do empires throughout history. Now, most people are the victims of rhythm, most familiarly the rhythm of their moods. To escape this, one has to master the law of neutralization. This doesn't mean taking a neutral position. What it means is rising in the planes of correspondence, so that you're serving on the higher plane and becoming a master on the lower. To serve on the higher plane is to be committed to the law of the universe, so that when things don't go your way, you understand that this is part of the larger plan. The master hermetist can see, to a degree, that plan. And finally, the principle of gender. Even though we don't like the ideas of gender, this is probably the most useful thing you can take from this book. We want to understand the feminine as an energy of creation and destruction, and the masculine as the energy of activation and direction. If you're purely focusing on feminine energy, sure, you're creative and chaotic. You probably don't have any real willpower or direction, nor can you really impress ideas onto others. If you're purely in your masculine, then yeah, you're a go-getter, you're a doer. You're likely also a little rigid. You can't really think outside the box. To impress real change on the world, we need both. We can't just be dreamers and we can't just be doers. And the book highlights the fact that most people, contrary to popular belief, have a lazy masculine. That's why they're so impressionable. That's why they can't ascend to higher planes. It's why they're victims to the rhythm of their moods and politics. To strengthen these powers within you, besides reading and understanding these principles, you need to do one thing. Meditate.
Well, as you see, sounds like meditation is key. That was a good explanation of something I've never heard of. Word. What you think? Let me know in the comments down below.
These laws are the master key to unlocking your personal power and manifesting the life you've always dreamed of. The principle of mentalism, the all is mind, the universe is mental. The principle of correspondence, as above, so below, as below, so above. The principle of vibration, nothing rests, everything moves, everything vibrates. The principle of polarity, everything is dual, everything has poles, everything has its pair of opposites. All truths are but half-truths, all paradoxes may be reconciled. The principle of rhythm, everything flows out and in. Everything has its tides. All things rise and fall. Rhythm compensates. The principle of cause and effect. Every cause has its effect. Every effect has its cause. Chance is but a name for a law not recognized. There are many planes of causation, but nothing escapes the law. The principle of gender. Gender is in everything. Everything has its masculine and feminine principles. Gender manifests on all planes. The 7 Hermetic principles of the Kabalyan.
Here's the thing. Isn't it fitting in a nation of immigrants that our very first president would be Oriental, black, and white? Again, his name was John Hanson. So when you go to high school or elementary school and they tell you, the first president was George Washington, you raise your hand and say, no, it wasn't. It was a man who was black and Oriental and white named John Hanson. He was a Moor. He was a Moroccan.
That the Moors were the custodians of ancient Kemetic wisdom and culture. This is the priesthood who migrated into North Africa after the fall of Kemet to the Ptolemies and things of that nature, and West Africa and things of that nature. So out of West Africa you have the Dogons and things of that nature, the great Mali tribe, the Mali kingdoms and empires, the Songhai. So you're talking about people who introduced into Europe during their dark ages, you know, by building their kingdoms, like not like they introduced it to them like they were trying. No, wherever we go, we regentrify. Wherever we go, we shine our light. So what we did is introduce alchemy, we introduced architecture, sacred geometry. By helping ourselves, we were able to help everybody around us.
We have to understand the role of the Moors. Our children have to understand the role that the Moors played in history, who they were. Because my problem is not so much what they say about the Moors. My problem is the fact that they're confusing the issue. What they've done is this, very skillful. They took the word Moor and they mix it up with the word Muslim. They take the word Muslim and mix it up with the word Arab. And then pretty soon they start talking about Moorish Arabs. The word Moor means black. The word Moor is a medieval term that became Negro after the enslavement of the Moors. Before they were called the Moors, they were called Ethiopians, which means dark-faced. Ethiopia was the land of the burnt face. Ethiopians were the people from the land of the burnt face. Moor does not mean Muslim. There were Moors who were Kemites or followed the Hermetic legacy. It is important that, yes, a very important facet of the Moors that went into Europe post 710 AD happened to practice the Islamic faith. But not all Moors are Muslims. You could be a Moor and not have any faith system that you followed particularly at all. And once we get to that, then we can understand that it was we the Moors, the Africans. See, the Moors were the libraries, were the collected libraries of all ancient wisdom up until that point. And the Moors of their time took this information and took it to a higher level. To think that Africans brought into Europe sidewalks, streets lit by lamps for miles that you could walk. To think that the Moors were able to control the flow of water so that water could flow into your home where you could get both hot and cold water. That they could build according to the wind systems so that you had air conditioning in the warmer weather and heat in the cooler weather. This is what the Moors brought in. The Moors brought in strawberries and lemons. They brought in different ways of eating. They brought in the idea of eating in courses. They started the first musical conservatory in Europe. The first musical school was created by Moors. And they started the universities that we today call Oxford and Cambridge. Some of these people from Oxford and Cambridge became so smart they came to these new colonies and they started a college that's called King's College in New York City.
That one was starting to get good. I've heard of the Moors once or twice. In movies, they're always the ones with wearing the hats, which is crazy because there's more to them. Maybe I'm confusing the two. It says Moroccans, the Moors. This is all new to me, so you have to excuse me. Very interesting. I got to go deeper. What you think? Let me know in the comments down below. Never heard of Moorish science and history. I didn't know it was like that.
Did you know, if you use Gematria, you can see that every word we say is signed by the number 9. Don't believe me? Look at this. So in the rule of 9, we talk about the number 9 being associated with completeness, perfection. It is the number of man and is considered the number of consciousness. So we're going to see how the number 9 is associated with every word we say. In Gematria, when you write the alphabet forward and backwards, you see a hidden code in all the words that we say. We have the alphabet backwards on top and then forward on the bottom, and we have A through Z. So each letter has 2 numbers associated with it. So if we look at this first row here, this first row has A, J, and S. When you add all these numbers together, it equals 81. When you add B, K, and T, and you add all these numbers together, the answer is 81. And you can do this across the board, and the answer will always remain 81, except when you get to I and R, the answer is 54. We know that 9 times 9 equals 81, and 81 is a multiple of 9. And we also know that 54 is a multiple of 9. If you add the rows together, so adding row 1 together, adding row 2 together, and then adding row 3 together, row 1 equals 243, row 2 equals 243, and row 3 equals 216. 243 and 216 are also multiples of 9. 9 times 24 is 216. 9 times 27 is 243. 243 is also a multiple of 81 because 81 times 3 is 243, which aligns with the rest of the Gematria table. We can even take the letters diagonally, so taking S, K, and C. So you take all the numbers and you add them together and it equals 81. You can go the opposite direction, so take A, K, and U. You add all those numbers together, they add up to 81, and 81 is a multiple of 9. You see, the number 9 is divine. In fact, John 1:1 says that the Word was God. And every word that we say has a special combination of letters that holds the power to transport us through laughter, through sadness, or even awaken a dormant soul. Each word carries its own enchantment, capable of casting spells that linger in our minds and heart long after the words are spoken. And this is important because of epigenetics, because we have 20 generations of our ancestors' DNA, emotions, feelings within us. So as we heal ourselves from generational curses and generational traumas, we are literally healing our ancestors too. And we can do so because of this one thought right here.
In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. The Word was God. The Word was God. The Word was God.
It's pretty tight. Yeah, I agree with her. Words unlock success or failure. Only question I have with her chart was, what cipher was she using? And there's like 6-7 different ciphers in Gematria, right? So it looked like she was maybe doing reverse, because A was like 26. So if you know, you know, right? Let me know in the comments down below if you know.
1245. Restate my assumptions. 1. Mathematics is the language of nature. 2. Everything around us can be represented and understood through numbers. 3. If you graph the numbers of any system, patterns emerge. Therefore, there are patterns everywhere in nature. Evidence. The cycling of disease epidemics. The wax and wane of caribou populations. Sunspot cycles. The rise and fall of the Nile. So what about the stock market? The universe of numbers that represents the global economy. Millions of human hands at work, billions of minds, a vast network screaming with life. An organism. A natural organism. My hypothesis. Within the stock market, there is a pattern as well. Right in front of me. Hiding behind the numbers. Always has been. 1250, press return.
Yeah, that was a scene from a movie called Pi. Came back in 98. I was very young when it came out. I think I was still in middle school. I remember watching it and just couldn't understand any of it. Like, yo. But for some reason, I knew there was more to that movie. As I'm older, I was like, wow. Truth hidden in plain sight. Some of the movies be spot on.
You have 5 fingers for the 5 elements. The skull corresponds with the elements. The jaw is the earth. Water goes in the mouth. Air goes through the nose. Fire is light, which goes through the eyes. And spirit/ether is the third eye. 5 points on the body for the 5 elements. The 4 elements are 4 vibrational states of the ether. Spirit or ether is the most important element. This is why it's always on the top. The satanic pentagram is spirit on the bottom, because Satanists are materialists. The word scared is sacred for a reason, because they want you to be scared of all of the sacred symbols. This is not an evil symbol. It represents the 5 elements of creation. This is why it is on the front cover of my book.
Go on a case right now. I'm going to show you live migrants coming into the country illegally. Check this out. Check this out, folks. I hear the cars coming, so let me reverse. We're going to see something in real time, folks. We're going to see something in real time. We're going to see something in real time, folks. Look at this. Look at this. In real time. Watch. How's the reception? Is the reception good here? Watch this. We're going to follow this truck. We're going to watch it in real time. Now there's a large group of migrants that just crossed in up here that got dropped off. They're on their way. Look, there's the van. Look. Now watch. We're gonna watch this operation in real time, folks. You won't get this anywhere else. You will not get this anywhere else, folks. Come on in. And look, there's another group of migrants right here that just crossed in illegally. Right here. See this? Another group of about 30. We're going to follow that. And that SUV's right up here. Right here, look. Another group of migrants that just crossed in illegally. Border Patrol sitting here watching and waiting. We're going to see this in real time, folks. Watch this in real time. Another group. Another one, folks. Here comes another one. Large man. Look at all this. Look at all this. Look at all this, folks. Look at all this. Look at all this. Here it is, folks. Real time. Live. JLR investigates. Okay, that's the first wave. Look at this. This is the first wave, folks. Here comes more. Here comes more. Okay, this is the last one. Look at this, folks. Look how many people came on this load. That's about 50, probably over 50. It's over 50, folks.
Are all within the black cube matrix. You're probably wondering, what are these black cubes? What do they symbolize? Why are they in every major city around the world? I'm here to tell you that this black cube represents the cube of Saturn, the very cube found on the North Pole of Saturn. The truth is far stranger than you might believe. In the occult realm, Saturn is known as Father Time, and its symbology is evident everywhere you look. The planets aren't what you believe they are. They're not what you've been told. Behind these 7 energies that we call planets, there lies a far deeper meaning. The elites in power seem to worship Saturn, given that their symbols are pervasive. Take Michael Jackson's album cover, for instance. It features the word escape set against Saturn's rings. What do you think he's trying to tell us? Venture into the world's secrets, and you'll find a web of mysteries and esoteric knowledge hidden in plain sight. The black cube matrix is one such enigma. The symbols are everywhere, from public sculptures in major cities to covert emblems in pop culture. Yet, only the initiated recognize them. When one gazes upon the prominent structures in places such as New York, London, and Tokyo, the recurrent theme of the black cube emerges, standing tall and unwavering. To the untrained eye, they might appear as mere architectural choices, but to those who are attuned to the esoteric world, it symbolizes a hidden truth. The cube of Saturn, located on the north pole of the planet, is the very black cube that you see represented across our world. The cube is not merely a geometric shape, it is an emblem of power, an indicator of knowledge and dominion, and the nexus of the ancient and the modern. To understand this connection, one must delve into the occult significance of Saturn. Known in esoteric circles as Father Time, Saturn is depicted with his scythe, representing both creation and destruction. While many in the contemporary world see planets as mere celestial bodies, the occult knows them as energies, forces, and deities. Saturn is not just a planet, it is an embodiment of time, discipline, and cycles. But why the obsession with Saturn? The elite powers that be understand the significance of the energies these celestial bodies hold. They believe that by worshipping Saturn and tapping into its energy, they can harness its power. Evidence of this can be found in numerous symbols and emblems, corporate logos, movies, music albums, and even fashion. They're not simply representations, they're talismans. Take, for instance, Michael Jackson's album, Escape. The title itself implies a desire to break free, but what's more intriguing are the Saturn rings clearly depicted on the cover. Is it merely an aesthetic choice, or was the king of pop subtly communicating a deeper message? a cry for liberation from the very matrix we're discussing. And Michael Jackson isn't the only one. Numerous artists, filmmakers, and writers have woven Saturnian symbolism into their works, nudging the aware viewer towards a greater truth. However, to say that space isn't real would be an oversimplification. What's meant by this is that our understanding of space, inculcated by mainstream narratives, is limited and skewed. The cosmos is not just a vast emptiness dotted with celestial bodies. It's a canvas of energies, stories, and truths waiting to be deciphered. Let's unravel the significance of the 7 energies we term planets. In the occult world, the number 7 holds immense significance. There are 7 chakras, 7 ancient wonders of the world, and 7 deadly sins. These planets are not just wandering celestial objects. They are the embodiment of 7 fundamental energies that influence our world. The elites recognize this. Their obsession with these energies, especially Saturn, is not mere superstition. It's an understanding of the interconnectedness of the universe. Mercury, for instance, emits a unique frequency that influences quantum vibrations in our own atomic structures. These frequencies don't just carry messages, they resonate on a subatomic level, subtly altering electron behaviors, linking neural pathways, and affecting the very essence of thought transference. Venus, bathed in its radiant glow, emanates particle waves that interact with the magnetism of our world. Its pole affects more than just gravitational tides, it exerts force on the elemental magnetite found within living organisms, influencing biological attractions and the interconnected dance of life itself. Mars, with its iron-rich soil, releases a distinct cosmic radiation. This energy, detectable by the most sensitive of instruments, seems to stimulate our primal instincts. It is speculated that these radiations affect our adrenaline production and other biochemical pathways, evoking that innate drive within us. Jupiter, the colossal force in our solar system, emits a potent energy field that affects the spin of electrons in our environment. This spin manipulation, according to esoteric physicists, might be linked to the expansive and abundant feelings associated with this great planet. Saturn's ring system, beyond its visible beauty, scatters charged particles throughout its vicinity. These particles, when they interact with Earth's own magnetic field, can influence our perception of time and the cyclical nature of our existence. Uranus, with its off-kilter axis, emits asymmetrical energy waves that challenge and disrupt the standard quantum patterns. This might be why, during specific Uranian alignments, there are noticeable shifts in innovation and revolutionary thinking. Neptune, the mystic of our solar system, sends forth subsonic frequencies. These frequencies are believed to resonate with our pineal gland, often called the third eye, potentially opening pathways to deeper realms of consciousness. When we shift our perspective from the mystical to the subatomic, we realize that the planets offer more than just symbolic energy. They engage with us on a quantum level, altering the very fabric of our being, intertwining science with the arcane, revealing the occult truths of our cosmos. There's an ancient saying, as above, so below. This age-old principle, echoing through the corridors of Hermetic traditions, encapsulates the idea that our vast cosmos with its myriad patterns mirrors the intricate events on Earth. Such is the essence of the black cube and Saturnian energies, interweaving celestial and terrestrial realms, hinting at forces that shape not just our spiritual journey, but even pragmatic aspects of our lives, like our financial markets. J.P. Morgan, the Titan financier, was no stranger to these connections. Many recall his statement, "Millionaires don't use astrology, billionaires do." Far from a casual remark, it reveals Morgan's genuine belief in the ties between planetary movements and market ebbs and flows. He leaned on astrologers, tapping into age-old wisdom to strategize in business, drawing connections from the stars to Wall Street.
Here are the 7 Hermetic principles of the Kabalyan, explained by yours truly. Now I'm gonna just race through them because there are 7 and we only have 3 minutes, but I'm also preparing a longer YouTube on them, so go subscribe there. Now before I dive in, remember that even though this book has this like very ancient vibe, it was written in 1908, and it was the product of the New Thought movement in the United States. So while it professes that its teachings are purely Hermetic, it was actually heavily influenced by New Age occultism. But anyway, let's dive into it. Number 1, the all is mind. The universe is mental. Not mental as in mad, mental as in form-based in a Platonic sense. Edward Case is famous for saying that thoughts are things. Essentially all that we see as physical exists within the mind of God, or the Supreme Being, or whatever you want to call it, the universal mind. And as the sons and daughters of God, we co-create our physical reality through the metaphysicality of our thoughts. Number 2, the principle of correspondence. This is connected to the famous axiom in the Emerald Tablet, as above, so below. This is to say that there always exists a correspondence between the several planes of existence. What happens in the higher realm happens in the lower realm. What happens in the inner world is mirrored in the outer world. Number 3, the principle of vibration. Nothing rests, everything moves, everything vibrates. From the subtlest to the densest levels of matter, there exists a continuum of degrees of vibration, from fire to stone. Every molecule exists in a state of motion. They are one and the same, the difference being only their frequency. Which brings me to number 4, the principle of polarity. Opposites are identical in nature, but different in degree. This is exemplified in the idea of hot and cold. They are one and the same, but different in temperate degree. Even matter and spirit, or solid and gas. Freeze water and it becomes ice. Boil water and it becomes steam. Number 5, the principle of rhythm. Everything flows out and in. Everything has its tides. All things rise and fall. To be able to work throughout the day, you need to sleep at night. Or let's make it even simpler. We exist by way of our breath. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Can you stop breathing and keep on keeping on? Number 6, the principle of cause and effect. Every cause has its effect and every effect has its cause. Everything happens according to law, and chance is but a name for law unrecognized. In other words, according to this law, there are no accidents. The laws are physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual. And by understanding this, we operate with grace instead of at the will of karma. And finally, number 7, the principle of gender. Everything has its feminine and masculine principle. Gender manifests on all planes. This is the concept of yin and yang. While most people exist as biologically male or female, we are all psychologically androgynous. And again, this exists on all 4 planes. And the spiritual path is the path of balance between the two, what Buddha calls the middle way. Now you may have noticed that all of these laws kind of repeat themselves, so let me tell you the secret. Master the mind and all else falls into place.
And that was deep. Master the mind and it all falls into place. Yeah, she just dropped a lot in a quick period of time. And a simplistic value, which was deep. That's what's up.
Now, Raymond Merriman, a stalwart in financial astrology today, brings ancient practices to contemporary tables. With an impressive career spanning decades, Merriman's work bridges the celestial with the economic, gaining nods of respect even from skeptics. Taking a step back, the overarching narrative is hard to ignore. The black cube matrix and Saturnian energy are not mere esoteric symbols. They rippled through our society, influencing everything from our buildings to our bank accounts. Morgan's legacy is proof that some elite figures don't just understand these connections, they harness them. In conclusion, for those with eyes to see and ears to hear, the universe whispers its secrets. Beyond just spiritual introspection, these cosmic energies seep into our daily grind. Peering beyond the surface, there's a vast tapestry of interconnectedness waiting for us to unravel its mysteries. It's an invitation, urging us to look up, connect the dots, and harness the boundless. The moon has long stood as a beacon, casting its silvery light across cultures, religions, and secret societies. Its pull reaches not just the ocean's tides, but seeps into the human psyche and our physiological rhythms. An ancient power, it is deeply woven into the fabric of our beliefs. Consider menstruation. or moonstruation, a monthly cycle echoing the moon's own wax and wane. This phenomenon, which happens exclusively during the fertile years, held symbolic potency in bygone cultures. The menstrual blood, often perceived with a mix of awe and trepidation, has perhaps influenced the use of red ochre by our forefathers. Even today, rituals and practices surrounding menstruation persist, reflecting age-old beliefs. This reverence for the menstrual cycle might be why events like the Witches' Sabbath were intricately linked to lunar phases, painting the moon in strokes of mystery and reverence. Delve deeper, and the Sabbath's significance becomes even clearer. Once the heart rest of the moon, this day was co-opted by the Jews and later the Christians, shifting it towards a more solar and masculine deity. This transition also brought about a shift from the matriarchal 13-month lunar calendar, with its symbolic 13 zodiac houses, to the solar 12-month structure. A subtle nuance, but these 12 houses are evocative of the 12 zodiac signs, a potent parallel to Jesus and his 12 disciples, hidden figures in the dance of celestial worship. Astrotheology, or the theology of stars, is the ancient study of these celestial patterns and their divine implications. The concealed number 13, the hidden month, is a testament to the Earth Mother's power and significance. It's in the very fabric of religious foundations: Christ as the sun, Mary's ties to the moon, and the 12 disciples as the zodiac. This lunar influence extends to the deities worshipped across cultures: Aphrodite, Ishtar, Isis. While their names may differ due to regional nuances, they are essentially manifestations of the same energy, the Gnostic Sophia, or wisdom. Secret societies have been the guardians of these lunar secrets, sheltering them through ages, even as they skirmished or assimilated with dominant solar cults. The profound impact of the moon on human psychology and physiology isn't just the stuff of legends. Terms like lunatic, drawn from the moon, underscore this connection. Historical data reveals patterns linked to lunar cycles, higher incidence of kleptomania, arson, and even driving mishaps during full moons. Rituals such as the Jewish Passover and the Christian Easter are scheduled around lunar events, hinting at the moon's profound influence on our traditions. Intriguingly, the lunar cycle also appears to have sway over births. A 1948 to 1957 New York study of 500,000 births indicated more births during a waning moon. Even in remote Germany, births seemed to align with high tides as the moon passed overhead. Eugen Jonas in the 1960s delved into the lunar influences on ovulation, boosting contraception's effectiveness astonishingly. However, it isn't just humans that are impacted. Frank Brown's groundbreaking research unveiled that creatures ranging from oysters to rats are governed by lunar cycles. Despite initial skepticism from the scientific community, Brown's findings illuminated the omnipresent lunar influence on Earth's inhabitants. In the dance of cosmic bodies, the ancients discerned gods shaping their destinies. Today, as we unravel the moon's mysteries, we find a tapestry of secrets, where each thread holds a story of reverence, power, and balance. The celestial realm, a vast expanse where the Saturn, the moon, and countless other bodies reside, seems most active under the cloak of night. This nocturnal setting, deep and inscrutable, offers a backdrop against which the dance of these celestial bodies is most vivid. The Saturnine chronology, the moon's enigmatic waltz, and even the silent whisper of stars, all of these narratives unfold primarily in the silent hours of the dark. This preponderance of celestial activity at night prompts us to ponder, is there an inherent darkness or shadow in these events and energies? The ancient pagan traditions, after all, were deeply connected with night. They revered the moon and other celestial bodies, drawing energy and power from the cosmos during nighttime rituals and ceremonies. This association with the pagan energies, often misunderstood or even feared in various cultures, raises questions about the nature of the forces we tap into when we attune ourselves to the cosmos. However, To hastily equate the night and its mysteries with something sinister would be a gross oversimplification. The universe, in all its vastness, holds a balance. Just as there's day, there's night. For every right, there's left. This duality is inherent in the very fabric of existence. It's a reminder that all energies, be they from the sun or the farthest star, emanate from the same divine source. I choose to believe that everything, every planet, star, and nebula is an expression of the divine. If we view the cosmos through this lens, then every nocturnal mystery becomes a chapter in a grand tale written by the hands of the Creator. This perspective invites us to love and embrace both the light of day and the secrets of night, understanding that they are two sides of the same cosmic coin. In the end, as we peer into the depths of the universe, seeking understanding and connection, it's essential to approach these mysteries with an open heart. For in the balance of day and night, right and left, light and shadow, we find the true essence of the cosmos.
And that's a wrap. I hope you enjoyed tonight's rabbit hole. And if you haven't already, please take a second just to smash that like, subscribe, ring that notification bell, just to make sure the algorithm knows what's up. So what we gonna do, y'all? That's right. Run these numbers up. Thanks again. Until next time.